Okay, now that we've seen how we can add elements to a list in various ways, let's see how we can remove elements from a list. Now we can remove elements by using the remove method, so very easy to remember. So let's suppose we have a list populated with things that we need to do. So we'll call this to_do_list. And we'll add to this list the strings run, eat, play, eat, and sleep. So let's suppose we wanted to remove the first element, i.e. run, by using the remove method. To do this, we follow a very similar pattern whenever we call any method. So we'll first stipulate the list object that we want to remove an item from, in this case to_do_list, and then we'll place a dot. We can then access the remove method, and then we can open parentheses. Now if we quickly take a look at the documentation, we can see that this method will remove the first occurrence of value. So if we were to put run inside the parentheses, when we now look at the to_do_list, we can see that it no longer contains the string run. Now we can also use the dot remove method on a list that has duplicate elements. So we can see here that we have two items that state eat. So if we were to now also use the remove method, but this time pass in the value eat, you can see that the first occurrence of eat has been removed, but the eat that resides in between play and sleep is still there in our list. So use the remove method to target a specific element that you want to remove. But remember, only the first occurrence of that value will be removed. Now a second way that we're able to remove items is by using the method called pop. Now just as we learned how to insert elements at specific indices using the .insert method, Python gives us a method to remove elements at a specific index, and this method is called pop. Now not only does it remove the value, but it also returns the item at the specific index specified. So if we quickly take a look at the documentation, we can also see that if no value is passed into the pop method, the default value will be the last item in the list, as can be seen with index -1. So let's see the pop method in action. Let's create a variable called coding_languages. And we will assign this variable a list with the first element being Python, then SQL, we'll put BMW, we'll then put C, then Ruby, JavaScript, Swift, and we'll finish with Audi. Now two of these elements are clearly out of place, so let's see how we can remove the two car manufacturers by using the pop method. So first let's remove Audi. Now seeing as Audi is the last item in our list, we don't need to pass the pop method any index value. So we can first specify the list object that we want to use the pop method on. In this case, it's coding_languages. We can then put our dot, and then we can put pop. We can then open parentheses. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the pop method returns the value that you're looking to remove. So we can actually assign this method call to a variable, and we'll call this variable removed_element. When we run the code, and then take a look at the coding_languages variable to see what's stored inside, we can see that Audi has been removed. And if we look at removed_element, we can see that the string Audi has been returned and then stored in the removed_element variable. So we can now use this elsewhere if required. So two things to notice about this example. The method can be called without an index because the default index is the last item in the list. Pop will also return the value that was removed. So if we wanted to know what was deleted, we can simply assign the method call to a variable and then see what's stored inside. Now secondly, let's remove BMW. Now BMW will require an index input into the parentheses as it sits at index 2, i.e. the third element in our list. So we can start by typing coding_languages, then we can put .pop, and inside the parentheses we can put 2. If we now print out what's stored in coding_languages, you will notice that BMW has been removed. And this time we haven't stored it in a variable, which is an option as well. So remember, the pop method can be used in a very similar way to the insert method in that you can choose an index value that you want to be removed. And the benefit of using pop is that it returns the value and you can store this in a variable in order to see what was removed in your program. Now, one final thing to note with the pop method is that if you pass in an index that does not exist, or if you call the pop method on an empty list, they will both result in an index error. So as an example, if we try to remove the value stored at index 10, we run into an index error, with the error stating that the pop index is out of range. As always, practice creating a list and now try removing specific elements that you want to target. With respect to pop, try capturing an element in the middle of the list and then use it in conjunction with the append method to add the item to the end of the same list. After all, you will need to use multiple methods in a program to make things more dynamic, and this is a great way to practice.